All right, we're gonna be taking this mast down. Seascape 24. I already have the boom off, as you can see. I have tied up some of the lines. So here's my jib halyard, here's my spin halyard, here's my main halyard. I just kind of tie them off to the gooseneck to get them out of the way, and then the tail ends I'll just throw over there for now. These are some of the network and electric cables. So here is the masthead light, here's the masthead unit for the wind indicator, and I have a mast mounted display. There's power and network. So we're going to be using the A-frame that's right here, that's provided by Seascape. So in order to do that, I need to get a couple extra lines. So I'm going to grab one of my spin halyards here, spin sheets rather, and I will get these two. These are, I don't really use them anymore, but they're my light air spin sheets. Actually, I use them more for the A-frame than I do for anything else right now. All right, so first things first, we're gonna get the A-frame off the boat, open up the bag, get it put together. So one thing I try to do when I'm putting this away, and I can show this when I'm de-rigging it later, but I try to keep these in a pretty good state, and I do that by looping and then putting it back into here, and that way they don't get all fouled up. I think the first time I opened this, it was quite the rat's nest. Now we're gonna put this feet towards the bow from the stern. So we're gonna carry it and push it this way. So just kind of put it up on the side there. I'll just keep pushing it forward until the weight distribution is such that it kind of balances on the boat, like that. Now this came undone. All right, got ahead of me. Next, we'll take these off, and we have to decide what is port, what's starboard. So, because it's already there, I'm going to call this my port side. And with the port one, we're going to come up and over here. So one thing that can happen when you're raising this, it can sometimes get stuck under here. The engine mount is the most annoying one. And then we just come up and clip this right there. Next is this one. So we got 3 more lines to attach. I'm going to attach 2 more on each of these. What they're going to do is they're going to go forward through the triangles inside the uppers, but above the spreader, in between the mast, into that little triangle area on each side. Usually that's just, you know, putting a little ball, throwing it up there, getting it over. The reason we want to do that is because the mast height, the height of the A-frame here is going to be above the spreaders, and we want to make sure that we get it as close in as possible. And then finally, we're going to have a our purchase. We'll go through here, we'll tie a bowline around the mast, let it ride up until it goes under the lowers, and then we bring it back, bring the tail end down through here, and then through a block on the mast plate, and then probably through the clutch to the drum to to pick the mast up. So one thing I will do is help myself out and clean this up. So I like to try to maintain my colors. I'm going to keep red on port. It's not really super necessary, but more kind of just being consistent. What I really like to do is get 2 more lines of Dyneema and some more clips, and just have 4 on there, so I don't have to do this separate line every time. Try this again. It's probably gonna take a few times, a few tries, as long as I have enough this clear where it's not gonna get snagged. Here we go. Aha, first try. All right. The odds I'll get 2 for 2. There we go. Overhand worked. All right. Now I'm just going to tie these to those eyes at the end. Someone's on fire. Let's do this one. So what I've been doing, and made the same mistake every single time, it's less of an issue when you're coming down than when you're going up, but I've put the thin end, the tapered end of the sheet around the mast, and it's just thin enough to get stuck between the fork toggles at the end of the lowers. And even putting a retrieval line on it doesn't really do much. It gets pretty jammed up there, and then I gotta go up with the bosun's chair and actually untie it and bring it down. I've tried putting a boat hook on as well, and no dice. All right, so let's get down here. We're going to be kind of like this when it's up, so I want the front side of this to be, it's not going to ultimately matter. Just get a decent amount here. So this will come down through the block on the mast plate into the clutch around the drum. This will be the one that goes around the mast. Let's try to do that right now. Make sure it's all clear in between these. That's how the colors work. It's going to be my starboard side. Alright, so we want to be pretty much around all these. get pretty loose. Be tight. As it snakes up fine. Alright. Next is, I will take some of the slack out of this now. Just to have less things around. And then I'll pass it through this. So let me remove this. I'm saying this a lot. This. Remove the main halyard from the block, as I no longer need that out of the way above the spreader. Put that right there. And I will take this line, which is really kind of the, it's not even a downhole, I would call it, just the purchase line for the mast. They'll help raise it. Okay, so I should probably discuss a few things here. The reason why I threw the these lines through there is because we want the mast, the A-frame, up as close to the mast as possible. In fact, in order to help with that, I'll be removing the uppers so that the rake will go forward, and I'll probably even end up tightening. I probably don't need to. I can probably just crank on the anchor points for the A-frame. I'll do it on the up front, but that way when the mast comes down, it's gonna pop up a little bit. You clear it of the foot here, and then you just walk the foot back, and it's gonna come in between the A-frame while the head of the mast goes forward, and we should be able to guide it right into the front of the trailer. And we're gonna call that, we'll call it the saddle. All right, so let me think about this for a minute here. It's gonna go up, so we'll come around this side of it, down through here, and then we'll come through here. So there's a lot of lines on this, and it can seem a bit odd, but they all make sense, and the only recommendation I can make is just try to clean up the slack. The raising that we'll get to in a moment ends up being a bit tricky when you have lines that are getting caught on like the engine mount or the rudder cassettes or pretty much anything around here. This tends to be a pain in the butt. All right, now that we have that done, we're gonna go forward, and we're gonna grab port side first. It's coming above the spreader. And we're gonna just, first of all, remove as much slack out of this as possible. There we go. Get this anchored on there. And I'm gonna throw tail end off the port. It doesn't get wrapped up in the starboard one. I'll just confirm, yep, this is going above starboard. So we'll try the same over here. We'll get the slack out. It's probably gonna wrap around that as it did. Now I'm willing to bet I screwed something up here, like putting those too far forward, but we'll see in a minute. So what I'm gonna do now is the rubber feet, I'm gonna put it right up against the stanchion. So these rubber feet are gonna go, just kind of shove them right in there. And after we get it raised, we will eventually back the rubber feet back to around here. And as you can see, that's gonna be nearly center line with the mast, so that will provide the best leverage right above it. So the way I do this is I grab both ends, helps them tall. Then push that plastic thing out of the way. All right. And I will just go on one side and push these up this way, like this. And then I will grab one of these. Now I'll walk forward with it and retie it. Probably didn't need to tie it in the first place, but whatever. So my A-frame has 2 lines of Dyneema with 2 shackles on it. I've been told that newer versions have 4. And I imagine the reason for that is because a 2-point system is stupid. To illustrate that, in Annapolis, I was rigging the boat. And I had the 2-point system going, so I had one of these Dyneemas forward, the other one back, and there's a gust of wind. I had the mast actually in the air. There's a gust of wind. It probably, the mast I think went off the starboard, and it ended up twisting the A-frame because now the center of gravity was outside of the inside of the A-frame. The bent one of these tubes. Thankfully I was able to get the mast back down without any damage to it, and someone in the yard was able to repair the tube, but it's kind of scary. Okay, so we're gonna go and remove the uppers now. Before I do that, I don't want to put the load on this wire rope. So you see how this one is also wrapped around that. Not too bad, I guess. Not awesome, but whatever. Like this. There we go. Actually, you know what? I think I want it on the opposite side of that, because when the mast is coming down, it's going to lower down. All right, make sure I got the same on that one. That would have sucked. In the moment, I can't really do much about that. Let's see how that goes. So what I'll do is, after I get tension on the mast with this, let me see if I can raise this up right now. You should see that climb the mast, and it looks free. All right, so hopefully this is starting to make a little sense as to how it works. So just double check everything. We've got this all free. This is free. This is just going to walk back here now at this point. So remove these from right here. right. Yep. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to tension this up a bit. See the mast moving forward somewhat. All right, so at this point, this thing's not doing anything. Take this off. And let's get down there and check out the forestay. Oh, that doesn't have any tension on it either. So now that we've confirmed that, we'll remove it. All right, so now we have the mast held up entirely by the A-frame. And I'll show you like from here. So we have the A-frame behind the mast, not in front. It was behind the spreaders. And again, we're just gonna pop it off the deck. It's gonna rise up. We'll let it rise up just like a few inches, centimeters. So it can clear the all the cleats on top of the housing here. And then we're going to grab the foot and we just kind of pull it back as we're lowering it. So what will happen is I'll open the clutch and I'll just kind of let this out a bit. I think 2 wraps is fine. And it will come right down into there and kind of lay it on the deck. So here we go. Watch the bottom. I might need another wrap. There it is. There it goes. So I'm actually put this on here. Auto tail it. Everything okay, so now it's clear of that. What we're going to do is I'm going to remove this. I'll open this, and here comes the fun part. So I'll leave fish house. Arguably not the smartest thing to be doing this by yourself, but whatever. Sebastian can do it, I can do it. Oh, hold on. We got some stuff wrapped here. Good. Okay. Just slowly. I'm stepping on shit. Nearly there. It's actually a lot easier than it looks. The wind is making it, just having it bounce around, but just got it right into the saddle. Done. Now down to the deck. And done. And that's it. After this, just taking off the standing rigging, taking off the spreaders, and kind of tidying everything up. All right, I'll record a raising in a couple of weeks.